Welcome back. I'm your host, Christopher Power, and our guest today is the Minister of Positivity, Fred Penner. I
That's
just love that. I love that. Um, so, with some of your songs, you actually sing both in English and French. Is there a hidden meaning? Like, what's the importance to do that for you?
well, we are a bilingual country, certainly, and I lived in Ottawa for a year and a half. My dad was transferred there with the Canadian Forces, so we lived in Hull or Gatineau for those the couple of years, and I learned my foundation of French was in grade 4,
Okay.
and I have an affinity for language. I I love I love to play with sound. I love to play with language. I know how to count to 10 in about a dozen languages. I know how to say I don't know in many languages. I love the sound of playing with language, and the way that music is affected by the different words that you have in a different language. So so for those two reasons, we are a bilingual country. I celebrate all languages, and so putting some of that on my Christmas album. I'm not sure if you've heard that yet. There's probably 10 different languages. There's
Wow.
17th century Spanish, Ukrainian. Actually, with the Ukrainian crisis now, there's two Ukrainian Christmas songs on that album, and my heart just goes out so deeply to the challenges that are happening there. But so I have French, Spanish, Italian, German. That album is really a celebration of language and music of the season for me.
That's really cool. Now, you mentioned about our hearts reaching out. So many people love your music, myself included, The Cat in the Hat. I remember my parents singing that to me, and I know
That,
that I'm singing it to my son. Do you ever get overwhelmed by the impact you've had on so many lives and the generations to come with everything that you've done? Your music, just absolutely everything.
that's an interesting thing because my wife has pointed it out a couple of times that there's an arrogance that can happen if you take the comments that people make to you too seriously.
Okay.
I mean, I've been on the road performing for 45 years. I've had countless beautiful comments from people, really heartfelt moments to the point of tears, at somewhere along the way. But this is advice for any performer:
Mm,
is you can't put stock in that necessarily.
okay.
It's like, uh, I'm not expecting people to bolster me with my music. I create from my heart. I do it to the best of my ability, and I put it to you to absorb it. But for me to expect that it's going to make a difference, and where I could be overwhelmed by that, and this is my wife has learned this lesson and passed it on to me. It's none of my business.
Fair enough.
That part is none of my business. I can only do the best that I can do with the gifts that I have, and however you take it is where you take it, right?
That's fair. So 2020, we were in the midst of the pandemic, but that actually marked the 40th year of your song, The Cat Came Back.
Yeah.
And some people say that this actually kickstarted the career for you. So what was it like creating The Cat Came Back?
Well, that's an interesting story because the cat came back, and I know there are many people who are under the illusion or the disillusion that I wrote the song originally.
Okay.
It's actually from 1896. It was part of the old minstrel shows and Chautauquas, in the northeastern United States. And I remember hearing the song when I was growing up, but it was a major version. A singer named Sonny James recorded it, with a major key, and then I
Okay.
found the minor key, the E minor D CB7 turnaround, and it was so much fun to play. I was in a jam with my brother and a cousin of mine in Winnipeg, and it just felt so good to play that pattern and to work with it. So when the offer came to do an album in the late '70s, that was clearly going to be the signature tune of that album, along with other songs that I'd grown up with, like "Ghost Riders in the Sky," that was never considered children's songs. "It Ain't Gonna Rain No More" from 1924 was not considered a children's song. It was sort of a novelty tune, but I just brought together as many songs as made a difference to me, and the cat was at the top of that list, and it certainly was, as I said, has become my signature tune, and it's taken on many different verses. I've adapted it, I've altered it a number of times for different occasions, like when the Winnipeg Jets were finally came back to Winnipeg.
Mhm.
I wrote "The Jets Came Back." And there's a an interesting thing that we're in the middle of right now. There's a band from the West Coast called Five Alarm Funk.
Okay.
Not know that band. They're a big drum, big sound. I mean, a huge band, and we've been collaborating the last while doing "The Band Came Back."
Hmm.
And I wrote the lyrics for it, and I recorded the song, and that's going to be released as a single before too long. So you're in the front line of this information, Chris, here before it's even done. But
Fair
that's
enough.
so the song is has just continued to fill me. I love playing it. I never tire of putting it to an audience, and I'll be doing that in the next couple of days in Revelstoke and Kelowna, and then some island performances over the next couple of months.
Brilliant. So you're a writer, you're an author, you're a singer-songwriter, a composer, actor, husband, father, TV host. What is something that people just blatantly tend to misunderstand about you?
Uh, Sometimes, because I work with families with children, um, people sometimes think that I'm always, the bright up, happy guy, and I am for the most part. But there's a part of me that is so uh, caring, on a much deeper level. What I do is not superficial, and I think what I want people to know is that I take what I do very seriously. As my sort of mantra is, never underestimate your ability to make a difference in the life of a child. And I bring that to the table from my experience with my sister, as I said, who was born with Down syndrome
Mhm.
and died at a critical time of my development, and the special needs kids that I worked with over the years. All of that gets really inside of me, and sort of affirms to me that this multi-decade path that I'm on has been valuable to me, and obviously, others have accepted that, as I presented it. But I
Mhm.
want people to know that I'm a serious guy, Chris.
Fair enough. So, in your opinion, what is something that, I mean, everything that you said there was beautiful. Is there one specific thing that you feel society needs to change our perception on tomorrow?
Don't take yourself so seriously.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's sort of in in opposition to what I've just said. I'm a serious person, but but it's what needs to happen. I think is people need to be more understanding. They need to listen more carefully. They need to be more supportive for the people around you. Don't be so critical for what's happening. I mean, trying desperately to be accepting of others, regardless of the cultural background, regardless of language, regardless. We are ultimately all in this absolutely insane world together. We are just little specks of sand trying to figure out our life path, and the greed comes in, and the angst comes into your spirit, and you just get completely lost.
Mm.
So I want people to really pay attention to what it is that's going to make them feel that they are whole, that they are loved, that they are strong in their being, both physically, mentally, spiritually. Those elements need to come together for a person to feel whole and positive in this world.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.